Well, hi everybody. Today I've made a brown butter cardamom banana bread. So this is the first time I've made this and it turned out really good. It's sweet, but not sweet enough to my liking. Now, everything in here is delicious and it's really well made with the brown butter. It just needs a little bit more sugar in my opinion. So I'm going to try it in front of you. Now it has all the flavors and it has 1 cup of brown sugar. But for me, I just feel like it needs something more. So I would probably add next time a half a cup of white sugar as well. But it's really good. And you might want to have a glass of milk with this too. The brown butter makes all the difference. It has a lot of flavor. Okay, these are all the ingredients you're going to need to make this brown butter banana bread. Anywhere from 3 to 4 overly ripe bananas. Now the banana I'm showing isn't as ripe as the ones I'm using, but they're fine. So 1 cup of salted butter, 1 cup of brown sugar, 2 eggs, 2 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon of soda, 1/2 a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of cardamom, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and anywhere from a half to 1 cup of pecans or walnuts, which is optional, but I like to use pecans. So now I'm going to toast these pecans for a few minutes. You can either do them in the oven or kind of on low on a skillet. So I'm going to roast these a few minutes, and you have to stir them and keep watching them. So once they have a toasty appearance and you can kind of smell the nuttiness of them, you can take them off the stove. You want to grease a loaf pan, and there can be a larger size, smaller. It's just a standard loaf pan you want to grease and flour. So after you measure all of your dry ingredients, you're going to brown your butter, and you want to put this at like a medium heat, but you want to keep stirring it and you want to keep an eye on it the whole time so it doesn't burn. And this should take about 5 minutes. You want to add all your dry ingredients: cinnamon, flour, cardamom, baking soda. You want to mix everything together so everything is incorporated. So our butter is just now melting. We want to keep it on there till it starts browning. So you're almost getting there because now it's foaming a little more than normal. And you want to keep stirring it and keeping it on the stove till it starts turning brown. And this is on a medium heat. Okay, here's the point where it's brown and golden, and now you want to take it off the stove, and it actually foams a lot at this point too. This is what your browned butter will look like. That's how you'll know that it's kind of caramelized a little, and it gets real foamy and then it turns this color. So we want to let this set for a while till it gets to at least room temp. Okay, now I'm going to transfer the brown butter into a bowl, and it can cool quicker. We want it to cool down. And there's your brown butter. It looks great and it's very nutty. So let's let this cool about 15 minutes. Mash your banana until it's completely mashed. Okay, you want to add your mashed banana, and you can either mash it with a fork or in a mixer, however you want. And then you're going to add your 1 cup of brown sugar, and we're going to add our browned butter in here as soon as it cools down. I'm going to pour this brown butter, and it still is warm, but I'm not going to add the eggs yet until it cools down. So you want to mix this solution together, these ingredients, until it's all combined. And after this cools down a little, you could wait. You could even refrigerate your brown butter if you want. But I think it mixes well when it's warm. I just won't add the eggs quite yet. So you want to mix this together, and the brown butter smells amazing. It has a really nutty flavor. So we're going to add our 2 eggs and our teaspoon of vanilla and mix this together, and then last we're going to add our dry ingredients and our nuts. So you'll gradually blend in your flour, and you don't want to overmix this. No cake should ever be overmixed because it will flatten and drop. So I'm going to finish putting the rest of the flour in. Last thing is your nuts. And I roasted these, or I toasted these pecans in the very beginning, and they combined with the brown butter, it's going to give it so much flavor. So after you fold in the nuts, you will fill up your loaf pan. And then during this time, you should have preheated your oven to 350. We're going to put this in the middle rack, on the middle rack in the oven for 30 minutes. And then after 30 minutes, we'll take it out and we'll tent it with foil for another 45 so it doesn't burn. So I will see you in about an hour and 15 minutes. So there it goes on the middle rack for 30 minutes. So I want to show you something. I poked a toothpick in this part after 30 minutes and it came out clean. However, this part I poke in and it's not. So I'm going to put this back in the oven with some foil on top for, I'm going to try 15 minutes. You have to be very careful because your ovens are all different. So I put this back in the oven for another 15 minutes and I poked it back in and it comes out clean. So this recipe in my oven only takes 45 minutes to bake. This recipe is the first time I've made it, and I'm really surprised that it had such a long baking time, but that's why I always am cautious and I do it less time to start.